Welcome to Marriage Connect. My name is Nyokabe Kamau. I'm really excited with what God has put in my heart about oneness and selfishness as a result of a study that my husband and I are doing. And I'm really excited to be sharing with you what I'm learning. It's really exciting to share with you what I'm learning. Now, we talked about selfishness in the previous video, and we're looking at ways in which we become selfish in relationships and become selfish in marriage. Today we learned a few principles that can help us to overcome selfishness. But I felt like we jumped the gun a little bit because we cannot look at ways that can help us to overcome selfishness when you don't know what this selfishness is about, when we haven't thought about the selfishness, when you don't know which areas in our lives that we find ourselves being selfish. And I just thought, I know I had given you the assignment to Google what is selfishness and just to go through it and see what is selfishness, see what it means to be selfish. And the ones that I came across were of a person or action or motive that lacks consideration of the other person. So each time you want to do something in your relationship, either to your spouse or to your husband, and you're not in consideration of them, that, my friend, is very selfish. And then I saw other meanings. I wanted to look at some of the synonyms for selfishness. I saw egocentric. Imagine that. I saw self-absorbed. That really got me because I looked at the word absorbed. And I realized the best way to understand absorbed is you take a sponge and you put it in water. Okay? It absorbs the water. When you remove the sponge, it becomes heavy, but the shape of it does not change. It just becomes heavy. But when you squeeze the water, then that's when you realize how much the sponge had absorbed. So when you're self-absorbing, it means that's how you take things. You soak in things and you soak into yourself like a sponge soaks water. That is a dangerous place to be. I self-obsessed. I looked at the word obsessed and I wondered, whoo, my goodness. Something that you do for your own benefit. You do it because it benefits you. You do it because it makes you feel good. You do it because it brings you glory. You don't do it out of a selfless point, but you're doing it out of selfishness to bring yourself glory. You build your wife and your family a big mansionette so that you can be told you're the man who built his wife a big mansionette and built a big house, so that you can gain something and obtain some kind of glory. Well, this is what I realized about selfishness. Selfishness is not just about doing what is good for you. Okay? It's also about lacking any desire of becoming aware of how your actions can harm your spouse. Selfishness is not just about what is good for you. It really just doesn't affect you as a person. You know, there is selfishness that is good. The kind of selfishness that you do to take care of yourself, to make sure you're eating a proper diet, exercising, seeking spiritual growth, seeking general knowledge growth. That is good selfishness. But selfishness is not just about doing what is good for you. You know, like buying your wife a car so that you can stop driving her home. It gets you off the hook. You no longer get the calls, say, oh, I need to go home, it's raining, come and get me. You no longer get those calls. It's not just about doing what is good for you. It's also lacking any desire of becoming aware of how your actions are affecting your spouse. You have to be intentional, and that's the word I love so much. When it comes to these matters of selfishness and self-awareness and selflessness, you have to be intentional about it. And I like to tell a story when I want to speak about selfishness. I remember the Samaritan. When Jesus was telling this story, he was teaching us about selflessness. This gentleman was in his way to wherever he was going. We never got to find out. Where he was going, we never got to know, because the minute he came across this person that had been injured and affected and left by the roadside, he stopped everything that he was doing. And the thing that makes me realize this selfless Samaritan was that he was well-to-do. He was a well-to-do man, because he not only took this person, he took care of this person, he put this person on his donkey and took this person to a hotel and paid for this person to be accommodated, and left his word that he would come back to clear what was balanced. Isn't that an act of selflessness? Isn't that something? If you come across somebody on the street, most of the times, anyway, these days it's become difficult to tell who is trying to rob you, who is trying to con you, and who is genuinely on the streets looking for help. But if you come across somebody and your journey stops and you start to consider the other person, then you stop being selfish. You have the desire to want to be aware. You have the desire to be aware of how your actions affect other people. Because sometimes we run through life without realizing that the words that we speak, have affect people. When you tell somebody they are fat, that thing stays in the mind of that person. When you tell somebody you're foolish, that stays in somebody's mind. And when they are going through something, they say, maybe it's because I'm foolish, or maybe it's because I'm fat. You have got to have a desire to think about your actions and how they are affecting your spouse. So when you're talking about selfishness, you're lacking that desire. You're not looking at your wife and wondering, how will my actions, how is my coming home at 3 o'clock in the morning affecting my wife? As a lady, when you're at a club at 11 o'clock in the night, you have children in a short skirt that is past the age where you are, and I'm not going against people who like to enjoy themselves, are you considering those actions? What fruits are they bearing to your spouse? You're being selfish. It is okay. Your dress, your choice. It is your right to go clubbing if you want to go clubbing. I got no problem with that. But what I'm asking is, like Paul asked, you have the right to do anything that you want, but is everything good for you? Selfishness is thinking about yourself in the absence of the larger picture. I go again back to the ladies who go to nightclubs and enjoy themselves in the name of being independent, gender equality. Are you looking at the bigger picture? Can you see your daughter seeing you coming home at 3 o'clock in the morning, drunk silly, or as high as a kite? You can't even locate the stairs to your bedroom, calling your husband from the door to open the door for you? Are you looking at the larger picture? The greatest form of selfishness is deliberately. The word is deliberately exhibiting ignorance. You're deliberately showing ignorance to further a cause. And this mostly affects men. It's also affecting women these days. But women are trying to catch up with it. This one of showing ignorance deliberately. When you're told that let's go to my family, and you go like, why should I go to your family? Why shouldn't you? The two of you have become one. Why you want to act ignorant? Why you want to act like you don't know the importance of going with your spouse to a barrio or to a relative's wedding? You know the importance, but you're deliberately exhibiting. You deliberately want to exhibit ignorance and want to be explained basic things why you need to be there for your spouse. When your spouse tells you they have a headache and you ask them, am I a doctor? Or what do you want me to do? That is ignorance. They are not looking for you to be a doctor. If they wanted a doctor, they would have gone to see a doctor. They'd have booked an appointment at a hospital and gone to see a doctor. What they are looking for is your support, for you to hear them, for you to be there for them. But when you deliberately exhibit ignorance, you're being selfish. And I was wondering to myself, what are some of the ways that we exhibit selfishness in marriages? And the one that came so profoundly to me is sharing. You know the way small kids have toys in the house and we tell them, don't share this toy, it's expensive. Don't share it with the neighbor. It's yours to play with. Play with it in the house. Don't go with it outside. I don't want you to give it to somebody else. You're teaching this child how to be selfish. Because in marriage, the greatest asset that you can have is the spirit of sharing. Not just sharing money. Every time we talk about sharing, people, the mind runs. Drive money! No. We are not talking about money. We are talking about sharing your time. Make time. I understand that you're busy, you have clients, you have work, you have deadlines, you have projects, you have bosses that are on your throat and on your neck, and you have all those things that are waiting for you. You have your social circle, you have your boys, you have your girls, you have your kamweredo, you have your tuchamas, you have your mbuzis, you have all those things. But if you're not sharing your time with your spouse, and that's the greatest asset that you can have, because the minute you invest time with your spouse, every day you learn something new about your spouse that you did not know. You have been with this person for 10 years, but I can tell you for sure you don't know this person. You need to spend more time with them because they are changing. Life, the dynamics of life, the evolving of life makes somebody change from day to day. The experiences of life, work experiences, social experiences, spiritual experiences, they make somebody change and transform every day, every day. And if you do not spend time with this person, if you do not share your time, if you're selfish with your time, you miss out on getting to know great things about your spouse. You miss out the opportunities of seeing your wife being vulnerable. You miss out the opportunity of just watching a movie and seeing them laugh endlessly or cry endlessly because of a scene that they relate with. You're missing out on an opportunity to just share. So if you're not sharing your time, your knowledge, your skills with your spouse, you keep on complaining your wife does not know how to cook, she cooks terrible, you hate the way she cooks, she's embarrassing, you can't stand it, but you know how to cook. Why don't you spare a minute and share that knowledge that you have about cooking? You keep up saying your wife, osodage honoka, there's no saving that one. That one is even worse than Paul before he met with Jesus and he was transformed. There's no changing that one. And yet, you do not share the fruits that are within you with your spouse. Because supposing you shared the fruits that you carry, the fruits that you bear, wouldn't there be a transformation? But now you want to be selfish and exhibit the deliberate ignorance and say the person cannot be changed. There is not a person on this earth that cannot be changed. And Paul, the apostle, bears witness. He bears witness that anybody can be changed. He himself confesses and says he was the worst of the worst. He himself did not deserve. He even asks in the book of Romans, who can save a wretched such as me? Wasn't our God compassionate and merciful? If he could change Paul, he can change your wife, he can change your husband. He just needs a little bit, a little bit of kindness. Exhibit what you want to see. Selfishness is the unwillingness to sacrifice, to make a sacrifice. And making a sacrifice is making a choice of being intentional, being deliberate about going home early. That's a small sacrifice. A small sacrifice is an example of allowing your wife to win this time, or allowing your husband to have that fight, or just saying today, you know what, honey, I'm going to be with the kids. Leave me that small one that cries all the time. I will take care of that one. But selfishness, when the baby cries, oyo nyoyo, when the tone changes and the oyo nyoyo, they are no longer, oyo nyoyo. And I always wonder, what does this mean? Oyo no. Oh, this one is crying. Take this one, It is your child. That is exhibiting selfishness. You're refusing to sacrifice, to hold that baby and cuddle that baby and help that baby to stop crying. Little sacrifices. I'm just saying, I'm just sharing with you with what I'm learning. Greed. You want everything to be yours, your way. And greed is not necessarily money-oriented. Greed can be shown in other things, especially in relationship. You want a Mercedes and you want a Mercedes and you want a Mercedes. Not considering the financial status, not considering other things. You want that particular, you want to be greedy with it. There's chicken that has been cooked in the house. You want the back, or the kifua. Is it the kifua or the back? The one that normally has the biggest part, the one that has the chunkiest of nyamas. That's the one you want. That is greed. That's what you want. When there has been cooked a small fry, like a quarter hivi, you have to eat 3/4 of the quarter. Then the quarter of the quarter is what is shared among 5 people in the family. That is greed. You want to take everything to yourself. That is a way of showing selfishness. You do not have to eat the best part of the chicken. I'm not saying you don't deserve it. I'm not saying it is not your right, but you just don't have to get the best part. You can opt to share it. You can opt to say, let it be cut into 2. You eat one side, I eat one side. Or let it be cut into 4. You eat a quarter, a quarter, a quarter, and a quarter. You share it out. That is greed. And greed is not necessarily about money. Greed is about taking everything for yourself. You go to the market, you buy yourself nice rubbers, you buy yourself nice sandals, you buy yourself a nice sweater, you buy yourself a nice, something, a top. You always find something nice at the market, but you never find anything that you can pick for your spouse, for your husband. You have never found a hood that you can pick for him. You have never found a nice karaba that you can pick for him. That is greed. You want to pick everything for yourself. You're drawing everything towards yourself. The other thing is thinking and not caring for another unless it benefits you. I had spoken about that a bit early when I was starting. Most of the times we find ourselves doing things for our spouses because they benefit us. You cook because when you cook, shopping is bought in that house. But how many times do you stop to do things just because they are good for your spouse? Just because they put a smile on their face. It will bless their day. How many times do you wake up in the morning and you say, good morning, honey? How did you sleep? And you actually sit down and take a minute to listen to how they slept. I know there's not much happening at night. You just sleep and you wake up. No. But some have weird dreams. Others are scared. Others' movements are scaring them. How many times do you wake up and you ask your spouse, good morning, how did you sleep? I know we like to ask, how was your day? And you get the nothing, it was fine. Or, well, I met so-and-so and that didn't go well. And you leave it at that. Or I met so-and-so and, oh, there's a deal coming up. And that stops there. How about asking a more intimate question like, how did you sleep? Did you enjoy your sleep? Are you feeling rested? Are you feeling better than yesterday when you went to sleep? Can I iron your dress today, my love? What would you like to wear? You look stunning. Taking a minute and expressing, something towards the other person that has absolutely nothing to do with you, and you will not gain anything in return. Well, selfishness is something that we are created with, and I had said in the previous video, it's something that you have to make a choice to not be. Before I finish, because I'm almost finishing, are you doing the right and principled thing even if no one is seeing it? Are you doing the right and principled thing even if no one is seeing it and you never get credit for it? What is that thing that you do that you don't get credit for? That thing that you do that is right and is principled, that is acceptable according to the laws that we have put in our society, according to what we have termed to be acceptable, that does not benefit you in any way. Like the Samaritan, it did not benefit him to help a stranger. In fact, it costed him. It costed him time, resources. It costed him a lot of things. He seemed to lose more than he gained. But in heaven, he gained more than he seemed to lose here on earth. If you are doing something for your spouse that is right and principled, that is acceptable within the morals that we have set as a standard as a society, and within the morals that God has set for us, and you're not receiving any credit for it, and it is not benefiting you in any way, then, my friend, you are truly, truly showing selflessness. But if you're not doing anything for your wife or for your husband that is not benefiting you, then you are in a circle of selfishness, either minimal or more, however we choose to look at it. Whether we feel it's time for me to look at myself, and women, we are the ones who suffer from this a lot. We get to our point in our marriages and we want to say, it's my time. I am the one now to run the show. It's my time to enjoy myself. It's my time to wear the most expensive there is. It's my time to do my hair every 2 weeks. It's my time to put a smile on my face. It's my time to make me feel good. It's my time to do things that are working for me because of maybe the past experiences that you have gone through or the hurt that maybe your marriage has caused you. But I just want to ask you one question. If you're at that place and you're a wife, what fruits is it bearing? Is it in consideration of how your husband feels about it? Husband, are you at a place where you no longer trust your wife because she has betrayed you, she has broken your trust, she has not honored you as her husband, and therefore you have chosen to sneak around and hide behind and do things that are not right, principled, or acceptable because it is your time? You have given that marriage your all. You have done everything that you could do to make that relationship work. Yes, your argument is valid. Your struggle is visible and it is real. But is it in consideration of how the other party will feel? Is it in consideration of what kind of harm you're causing to your spouse? Are you causing emotional distress? Are you causing frustration by the actions that you're taking? Are you leading slowly, day by day, leading this person to a place of resentment and anger and bitterness? The actions that you're taking that are selfish, that are self-centered, that are egocentric, that are self-absorbed and self-obsessed, what repercussions do they have? What fruits do they bear? If you're at that place, do not worry. You're not the first one, neither are you the last one to get there. Every marriage goes through a phase. Marriage is a bed of roses, literally. It's beautiful, it smells good, it's good when it's good, it's bad when it's bad. But that does not mean that you can't come out of it. It does not mean that you can't take time and just reflect upon yourself. And like I said, and I like to preach this gospel, change starts with you. And you cannot get good fruits, although from a personal experience, there are people who you try to bear good fruits towards them, and they still take you through the gutter. But don't worry, they still take you through the rubbish. But don't worry, they still take you through takataka, huko borea. They take you back. They still just take you back there. But don't worry, because good will always win over evil. Darkness has got to give way to light. That's the principle. We cannot be able to change that because it's God-given principle. At that place where you are, I just want to encourage you, my brother, my sister, and just tell you, if you make the choice, make the right choice. Make the choice of being right. Make that choice to be right, principled, and acceptable. And let it be hidden. Let your right hand not know. Don't be those people who say, I'm helping my husband financially. I'm supporting him. I don't want to embarrass him. I don't want people to know that he's not the one who is paying the rent. My friend, excuse us. Or you say, not, I'm not trying to anchor him, but this guy, he's not doing anything, my friend. Yeah? And I'm not trying to talk badly about my spouse or anything, but that guy, I don't even know what I was thinking. Sweetie, You're already exposing. It's not hidden. And you already want credit for it. You want to be glorified. And there's nothing that God hates than anything that glorifies itself above Him. All glory goes back to Him, and the minute you give all glory back to Him, He works everything out for you. This is Marriage Connect. I am Nyokabi Kamau. I look forward to sharing with you more and more videos as we go on and as I continue to learn about selflessness and oneness, selfishness. We will be looking at self-righteousness. We will be looking at Christianity, the balance between God-fearing and marriage, and Christianity and marriage, because some of our older women, our Titus 2 women, I like to call them the Titus 2 women because the Bible says that the older women shall teach the younger woman. So I like to call them the Titus 2 women, are really struggling with this. They are more focused in the house of God than they are more focused in their homes. And yet, the hierarchy is simple and precise to the point. I look forward to hearing from you. Please keep those comments coming. Keep those messages coming. Thank you so much for encouraging me and always reminding me to do the videos. I really, really, really appreciate, and God bless you, and see you next time. As for me and Mr. Kamau, po bullet. We out. See ya. I hope you enjoyed the video.